Well, hello everyone. Here to show you the say the word only coloring activity right here. As you see right here, as I went ahead and drew right here, is to say is you say that you say the universe it is you got right here is for planet Earth, and of course right here is the sun it is, and basically that this whole activity is talk about say with the word only, which I'm sure most of us have seen from the other colorings is that I did is like so far as support, and of course that a few other say word colorings of course that I went ahead and did, but basically that you see right here is that for the word only is that talking about is that the things that you can see only, of course, and then with some most of the time though that a lot of times that which I with from what I looked up on the dictionary, and anybody maybe think about if I was in school, it was that a lot of times that maybe I would just look it up in the dictionary and it would say that if you're the only child, or if this is only available to you, whichever it was, and so far as the only one for permissions, whichever it is, but basically though that the teachers a lot of times, whoever that you were doing the schoolwork for, a lot of times would like to hear, of course, from your own word of saying about exactly about what the word means. And it is like for my own words of saying, of talking about say for the word only, and anybody may be thinking about that so far it's like with the word only it is, does it mean permissions, or does it mean it's like they're talking about it's like the so far as a word that maybe describe it's like for only, it's like for only is like for one purpose, I guess. And I think that more likely that we can go ahead and use one purpose for right now, for one purpose, and try to get that letter. And it was like talk about with one purpose it is for one purpose, and a lot of times I guess that's usually what it means. And some people probably think about it more likely it stands for a hidden secret it is, but I don't know if like anybody maybe think about that so far as that something that maybe only that person or whoever knows about, and then that other person should not know until later on it is. But so far as either hidden secret, or if it's like what you call is like so far as that something that so far as another word maybe describe only is like maybe self. And I don't know, anybody may think about it's like self it is, you say for independent, maybe if we independent for independent, I talk about right here is like so far independent it is, it's like for independent or something like that. But anyway, but talk about it's like if you were to be what you call is like for living independently, or anything like that, doing stuff independently to where that you don't need no guidance and no assistance it is. And anybody may be thinking about that with if you will be doing stuff it is on your own, and basically that I say, well, only you can do this, or only you can do that it is. But a lot of times though with with that one purpose it is basically that talk about with with the word only it is. And I can go ahead and write this down here as I get my own words of saying about the word only means that the one that then one person, it could mean for one person such as purpose, and a lot of times for that certain purpose of knowing for what needs to be done. And on the other hand, too, another word to maybe describe only is like so far as is talking about like I looked it up in a dictionary, talking about alone. A lot of times, if you're the only one in the group, of course, that can do this or do that, it is something like that. But so far as I talk about it's like so far as I guess anybody probably think about private. I guess that if you maybe want to describe it as like maybe private, and then of course on the other hand too that so far as that say hidden. I don't know, anybody maybe think about maybe hidden would be like what you call is like where maybe describe only, but anyway, that what I'm gonna go ahead and do right here is kind of destroy right here is like if most of us here have seen, of course, is like space before. It's like talking about with space. If since with the universe, it's like I guess I can go ahead and draw say example right here of a moon right here. The moon, you got the moon right here, and of course you say with the stars it is, and with the stars that we can maybe think about that yeah, whenever we go out and look at the sky, it is a lot of times been knowing about it that a lot of times it's pitch black, and a lot of times and you can't really see too much, especially that if you're going to be living out out in the country areas, a lot of times it more likely that you may see maybe one or maybe about 7 stars at one direction. It is, you may see maybe a few stars of course in the sky. It is, but on the other hand too, that knowing about that with the type of stars it is, so that the things that more likely you would normally see, anybody maybe see whenever they look outside, and like talking about right here is that yep, that so far with the word only, that let's just say that if you were to say be given something and like you have a pair of glasses to wear, that if you would actually discover like maybe the new technology for like what you call for 4D or something like that, you're the only one who can really see shiny sparkling stars, of course, say around the moon it is, or something like that. Like talk about you're the only one who can see the moon actually changing color, it is. But I decided to go ahead and use like what you call like the universe, and of course planet Earth, and of course you say to look in space, and anybody made me think about that. Yeah, that I was also thinking about that maybe of course a view of maybe the Canadian lands, or maybe something else, maybe like a document or something like that. But I'm like, well, I'll go ahead and I don't know how that describes only, because on the other hand too, the only people who's at for like any confidential information is, but right here is basically that for like if anybody has, if you manage your stuff, of course, like on Facebook, internet sites like Facebook, it is that a lot of times it would tell you that you are the only one, of course, who can see this and watch this. It is, and a lot of times it seems like one-way glass a lot of times, and I guess you say that it's basically one. If you can look at it that way, it's kind of like one-way glass, to where that you have one part say of the glass to where you can see very clearly, and then the other part where you can't see nothing. It's like so far it's like real dark shades it is, and talking about right here, it's like with the word only. Does the word only mean it could also mean like which say is maybe licensed to you for that one purpose. It is doesn't mean that well you're the only one in the family, of course, or you're the only one at the company. It is that more likely can do the job, or something like that. But anyway, that you have right here is for planet Earth, and I could maybe say that go ahead and use the green right here, maybe add some details right here. It's like if one of these planets were like Mars and Jupiter, it is that yeah, I didn't add all 9 planets, of course, but you have right here is go ahead and use the pink, like anybody maybe think about. Yeah, it's like so with the colors of the planets it is, but basically talking about anybody maybe think about, yeah, that with most of the time that if you are the only student, of course, who could maybe draw, we say maybe that perfect circle, or the like what's called maybe the invisible line, such as we call as the moniker so equator it is, but basically though that the word only, I guess the best word to describe it, I guess more likely is for that one purpose. It is that one purpose of knowing about that for that the things that more likely you can only see for that person. If you were say are the feeling about knowing about that just one person, just one purpose, I guess, for what you can see, that maybe if you're that one person who can actually see what you call maybe rotations going on. Of course, maybe if you were to pick up a satellite image, of course, anybody maybe think about, well, I don't know if I'm really talking about a micro supercomputer brain or something like that, something that they could pick up radio signals, of course, from the brain. It is, just to be able to picture, kind of reminds me, of course, of that movie, Heaven is for Real. But you have right here is that talking about whenever somebody can actually see something that's going on. It is, and it reminds me a little bit of that, if anybody has ever seen the movie for Men in Black, it's like. But I guess you say that a lot of things that you see in movies, it seems like a lot of times that more likely that don't exist. That they're not going to happen in real life. But there are some things that more likely we can maybe think about that they are considered Hollywood. And but there are some things, of course, that we may see in movies that they may do have in real life. It is, but I could probably tell anybody here that really, where can you buy a time traveling watch? It is a time travel device. It is, and go through time. It is, and more likely anybody can maybe think about that. Maybe that's only for what you call maybe the people who are who know how to operate what you call the time channels. It is talking about that people in heaven, it is, or whichever it is, or I'm at the time. Anybody maybe think about it, you hear it even in movies, it's like that there ain't no such thing as time travel. There is no such thing as a cure for cancer, a cure for your leukemia, and there is no such thing as such and such. But on the other hand too, that anybody maybe think about that, besides being chosen to do something, and of course being the only one, of course anybody probably think about a lot of times that the word only, I guess a lot of times means alone in some ways also, because of the fact about that. I think I heard NASA magazine wondering, I'm are we the only planet that has supports of life? It is, are there any other planets out there anywhere in say in space, it's like in the galaxy, it is, so far as say the universe, it is, that to where that they support a type of life, it is. And knowing about it, I'm thinking though that anybody probably think about the only person who's really going to get the answer is more likely going to be the archaeology and scientist of knowing about the study about knowing about that, it's like the type of anybody probably think about the type of satellites, of course, that used, but just to be able to study other planets, of course, outside the universe, it is. But it's outside the galaxy, I guess you say for the galaxy it is. But talking about right here, it's like for space though, that is think about, I think they were going to discover, I think they discovered water on the moon at one time. I think frozen water at one time on the surface of the moon. And with anybody probably think about that, I noticed that, I think it was last week, that the moon looked just a little bit different. One morning, it was whenever I was driving to work, it looked just a little bit different. It looked like a solar eclipse. And some people probably think about that, if you cannot see a solar eclipse, and I know people probably think about, hey, I can see it. I can see that there's it looks like right here that there's the moon is moving through, say, the Earth's shadow. It is like Tosa or the solar eclipse or the meteor shower, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I don't see nothing. I don't see nothing. But on the other hand too, that knowing about, anybody maybe think about that, hey, can you keep a secret as knowing about that, nobody else needs to know about this other than this is just between you and I. But the way I would think about it, though, with the word, say, with word only, it is, and we could probably think about it, is talk about with respect, it is that knowing about it, say, for the word only, is that, for, respect, respect the right, respect the right, and also it's like, you know, for the license, is that knowing about that with say with the license it is knowing about that, you know, this is somebody else's stuff it is, and or if it's like, would say a type of license, you know, a type of property, I guess I can always also include, like we say, is property that that, you know, more likely if they can pick anybody, I guess if they can if there's, like, would say, maybe a group, if there's a group of about maybe 7 people all together, and say in the pyramid it is in the graph. I'm like, yeah, maybe in a pyramid also I can maybe use a pyramid also, but like in the graph though, that if there's like a group of people, and knowing about that, you know, to divide it equally, it is like knowing about that that they can only choose one person, of course, to be trusted, of course, with whichever it is, with the key to the door, it is to unlock the doors, and of course, you know, that one person, of course, to manage this stuff it is, and but besides everybody else around it, if they had a choice between 7, and knowing about, anybody probably think about, yep, you know, which one is it going to be if you're going to only pick one? They say that, yep, you can only pick one person, of course, to handle, you know, the job of talk about maybe with security, or if it's like, which, you know, keeping the stuff stored safely, is, you know, you're the only one, you know, for that one purpose, you know, to be able to see this information it is. But in a lot of ways, I keep thinking though that that, you know, the first thing that you may think about whenever you see something, you know, you're the only one who can see it, and knowing about with anybody can maybe think about that. You know, am I really, as of today, am I the only one who can really see stuff? I'm like, well, that I keep thinking about, you know, maybe, I don't know, I may be the only one, of course, you know, from family and friends who can really draw, of course. I'm like, I can maybe draw, of course, with my left hand too. It's like switch, you know, to my left hand, and talking about, you know, draw with my left hand, but can't really write with my left hand. But let's just say that so far as, you know, only it is, you know, for only that if you were to it's like talking about right here, if I go ahead and write, you know, the word moon, of course, with my left hand it is, it's like talking about right here, it's like right here, moon. Yeah, about the same. It's a little bit harder to write with my left hand because I'm not really used to it. But anyway, handling, of course, you know, the different colors, of course, with my left hand. But right here is, it's like with the word only. Only, you know, maybe only I can do this, or only I can do what you call this perfect fashion, whichever it is. But on the other hand, too, to talk about with word only, is that I don't know, I think we get the idea, of course, about, you know, what it means right now, huh? But basically, that when I'm drawing right here is an example right here of, like we say, is type of one-way glass, to where if you were to be looking, of course, into space it is, and then you know, you see things and like everybody else sees them, but then of course there's a type of vision, of course, that type of view, to where that you automatically sense, and you know, there's another part, of course, about space that more likely that you can't see, and you hear about it, of course, a lot of times in the movies. If most of us have seen, like we say, movie, you know, the Polar Express or something like that, you know, based on a Christmas Story, like whoever, you know, of course, you know, whoever that believes that maybe in the Tooth Fairy or the Santa Claus or something like that would only be able to see, you know, the magical, you know, dust, you know, it's like so far as Tinkerbell. And I may have drawn it before, but like if you have right here is, you know, Tinkerbell right here, that's like talking about, say, with the Tooth Fairy it is, but angels, whoever it is, but knowing about, you know, you're the only, you know, you're that one purpose, you're that one person, of course, who can actually see, of course, you know, this part right here, and like with anybody would probably think about that you know, as I feel, you know, to knowing about, you know, to be that one person, of course, you know, just to be able to see it in a lot of ways. I mean, it feels just like that, maybe that you know something that maybe somebody else don't, and on the other hand too, that way I think about it, I don't know if I would describe it as a secret, a hidden secret or not. say for self-dependent, I would probably more likely look at it as like talking about, as like you say maybe to keep in mind. Keep in mind that knowing about that yeah, that you know, whichever things that more likely need to be told, you know, to somebody else, you know, such as, you know, like, yeah, if you see something wrong, then more likely you need to say something. But more likely that I could probably tell anybody that the things that more likely you can only see, and seems like at the time that, you know, nobody really understands. I'm like, you're the only one who can really see it, and a lot of times it's like, yeah, you know, so far as with the rules, and anybody maybe think about it, it's like, you know, read you the rules that you know, you're the only one who has the key, of course, you know, to the lockbox, whichever it is, or, you know, it's like talk about with the rules about, you know, no, 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 like nah, 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 yeah, nah, 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 nay, nay, nay. But you have right here is that nay, nay, nay. But other than that, I talk about right here, besides one way glass it is that the top I say for the word only. And basically respect to say your properties, and on the other hand of knowing about that the, you know, the basic say right of knowing about that yeah, that if you you're the only one, of course, that may be qualified for, maybe would tell you for protected, you know, maybe protected codes, and then knowing about the answers. I know a lot of times the teachers, you know, that one person, the teachers for that one purpose, a lot of times are the only ones who can really keep the answers, of course, to any questions related to math testing a lot of times. And with anybody who probably think about that, you know, the answers are hard. The answers are hard. Yeah, I want to know the answer. Like, and well, you know, first, before I give you the answer, and that I need to explain about, you know, how do you arrive at that answer? It is, but anybody maybe think about, yeah, that you know, why did you break onto the teacher's desk or whatever you call it? Like, well, you know, she said she's got something that nobody else has. Like, and for that one purpose of knowing about that she's the only you know, she's that one purpose person, you know, of course, who has the key, of course, you know, maybe to the dinner department, or, you know, something like that. You know, she's the only purpose, you know, to who actually can walk into that room, of course, you know, just to be able to you say, you know, get the, you say the electronic device it is, or, you know, get a password, of course, you know, just to unlock a door. Like, they need to go through the emergency exit a lot of times. Anybody would probably think about, like, for any emergency exits or any, you know, any type of safes or it is, that more likely say for that one purpose, that person, of course, you know, only has the key, you know, to be able to, you know, unlock the door, you know, just to get into where whoever get into it is. But a lot of times, though, that anybody maybe think about, you know, for the word only, it is basically for that one purpose of knowing about that. Yeah, it's not really a secret, but it's basically about how it's handled. That if it's, you know, if you were to be maybe selling property, or maybe giving away something, or maybe about you know, whichever it is, you know, how it works of knowing about, you know, for where, if we were to use the word only, it is basically talk about with space right here. Let's talk about right here is I talk about with trusted. And I can go ahead and write this down right here. Is talk about with trusted. That if you want to go ahead and have this person, it is, you know, the trusted, if it's a trusted computer or a trusted program, it is to be able to run, of course, on the, you know, go through the files, and then you know, marking, you know, for trusted, and with you know, with the word trusted, it is basically that, you know, you trust, you know, for trusted, it is that that you hear is like, you know, talk about right here for one purpose. And one purpose for that reason. One purpose for that reason. And knowing about right here is that basically, I guess it's, I mean, that's pretty much what it means. It's like talking about, it's like for only, is that for one purpose, is that that, you know, you're the only one who can actually see this, you're the only one who can actually carry this, you're the only one who can keep this, or you're the only one who can hang on to this for quite a while, and then they don't, tell anybody else. And basically, I guess it, usually means by the rule. And I thought about maybe you'll go ahead and maybe using, like, say, a CDR disk. It is basically, if most of us know what that is, like, it goes into the computer. It's talk about, say, for read-only disk. It is read-only copying, copyrights, say, which means that nothing can be erased. It is for the read-only disk. And some people may think about that it seems like a waste of money, because let's just say if there's a burn error, it is, and more likely that for that one purpose, to where if something goes wrong, then it's considered scrap. Scratch it is, or something like that. But other than that, right here is talk about, say, for only of knowing about that what anybody maybe think about. I'm like, yeah, that you're the only one, of course, that can carry the gold pen, whichever it is. It's like talk about right here. Yep, just go ahead and say sign your initial, of course, right here. And like maybe, I don't know, anybody probably think about, yep, you're the only one. How does it think about it? Like, and you're the only one who can read your own handwriting. You know what that says? Do you know what that says? You know what that says? You asking me? But anyway, right here, you have right here, as if I tell you for that, that type of print, it's like for that one purpose to why, it's like, that's somebody out of the whole group of knowing about that. You're not alone. It's just knowing about it. You gotta go by the rules. But the rules of policy. But other than that, I talk about right here, so far as the word only coding activity.